I'm Shane Ward. I'm here to do an interview for a class project. 49 years old, going to class. You can do it too, because school is cool. I'm here with Brandon Hoffines. He's the owner of Squatch Juice. It's been around for about 3 years.
I was going on 3. Yep, two and a half.
3 years. You're in 3 years. And so I want to ask a couple questions. Six. I'll ask you six questions. And there might be another one embedded in there, but let's just have fun. All right. So, where did you first come up with the drive to break away from the corporate rat race?
So that's a great question. It was 2023, and I was working for a company. I'm not going to name names, but I just realized that I was working way too hard for the man, and I was starting to see that all my efforts was going in making somebody else a lot wealthier than myself. I also know that the corporate world is completely different than what it used to be. And back then, 10, 15 years ago, the corporate world actually meant something. A lot of people could find true value and true just pride in being in the corporate world, working your way up the ladder per se. But after COVID, man, something shifted, something changed. I lost my job in 2019. I was the breadwinner of the home, and I was the number one salesman for the company. And out of nowhere, I lost my job, and I had to get rid of my truck. We got a new house. Ended up putting $30,000-$40,000 on credit card debt just to maintain our living. And then I got another job, and I started working up the ladder again. And all of a sudden, half my pay got cut. And I was making really good money, and then they cut my pay again because they had to make cuts somewhere. And I just realized at that moment that this is not going to be what it used to be back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Corporate world is completely shifted, and so I had to shift. And that's when I said, you know what? Instead of me working this hard for this much amount of money, which is very small, why don't I go do work for myself, apply the same effort, apply the same work ethic, and then be able to create my own legacy and my own dream.
Very awesome. And then you come up with your own ideas and use your own ideas instead of someone else's ideas piling on top of their pocketbook.
Exactly.
That's great. So, where did your idea come from initially?
So I wanted to do something that was going to be meaningful that everybody could actually partake of. I wanted something that I knew if I was going to create something, I wanted it to benefit almost everybody that came in contact with it. My dad was a huge inspire for me, and I loved my dad. We were really close. 2019, right before I lost my job, he actually took his life. And that kind of put me into this weird, very early middle age kind of midlife crisis. And I knew that if I was going to do something, it just kept going over and over and over in my head that my dad was saying, if you're going to do something, make sure that it's something that's going to benefit everybody. So then I started thinking, it's like, what's the one thing, right, to solve a problem? When you go into sales, when you get into a business, you don't want just to create another product, just to be among the masses, right? You're going to be noise. You're just going to get lost. What you want to do is you want to create something that's going to be very memorable, and it's going to be something that people want to be a part of. And it's also going to be solving a solution. And so I decided what's one of the biggest things that we need to be working better at. What's one thing that we suffer from that we're really not actually getting the care for anymore? And that's mental health. And so then I said, well, what does mental health translate into? What is contributing to our mental health, whether it's going to be non-healthy or healthy, right? And a lot of it is what we watch, what we read, what we're being fed by the media, but it's also what we're feeding ourselves, both by food and by beverage. And then I started doing some more research, and then I was like, how much do we actually consume in food that the food is really bad for you? Because if you drink a lot of dyes, a lot of synthetics, a lot of these other artificial flavorings or aspartame, right? Man-made chemical ingredients to copy the natural ingredients, but it's just way cheaper to mass produce. That is causing some serious health, both gut and mind. And so you start looking at what are some really good things that we could be drinking, because we will drink about 70 to 80% more than we will consume of food. So if that's the case, we all have something in our hand, right? Whether it's an energy drink, a beer, water, whatever it may be. And so I'd say, well, I'm going to tackle the beverage industry. So then that's when I decided that I was going to make a difference. And then I was just like, what can I do? Sasquatch is memorable. Sasquatch also means a lot to me, not just a really cool, iconic figure, but to me, that's the epitome of what mental health is. He's always persevering. He's always pushing through. He's got to go over obstacles on a daily basis, climbing the mountain. You see those videos of Sasquatch running up the snowy mountains like it's nothing, right? That's how we need to treat life. We need to treat those obstacles like it's nothing. And we need to understand that being uncomfortable is where we need to be. And that's how we're going to stretch. That's how we're going to become better than we were the day before. And so I was like Squatch juice, and then I wanted it all natural. And when you have an all natural drink, it's going to taste just like juice. So squash juice.
Awesome. So you had an opportunity to spiral out of control after your father passed away, and sorry for that, but you chose a different route and you built on it over the years. And now you have this product that we may be in the Northwest where Sasquatch is pretty prevalent, but you've taken it nationwide, all the way down to Florida where alligators and water moccasins live. So I appreciate.
Well, there's that skunk ape, there's the swamp thing. There's a lot of mythical things that are legendary things that are everywhere. So Sasquatch is one of those legendary things, right? That really can just be anywhere. But you actually make a really good point, right? And I definitely want to touch on that, especially for these young people who are going to be watching this, is we are always going to be faced with a fork in the road, right? We're going to be somewhere down the line of your life. You're going to find in an instant, all of a sudden, you can either go right or you can go left. And what I mean by that is you're going to have something happen to you that's going to change your life. And you either can say, poor me, and I'm going to go down this path, and then you're gonna be like, why is this happening to me? Or you can then say, I'm going to take what happened to me and then harness it, learn what I can from it, so then I can go down the other path and say, this is why it happened for me. Let me be an educator. Let me be somebody who can actually walk you through this and be here for you because I've been where you are. And now you can just be an inspiration to those other people. So you have two choices. The choice is yours. The outcome is going to be different each time.
Sure, that's awesome. And so you basically, when you talk about decisions that you make in your life, it's not always about you either. It's always about
Correct.
servitude and doing something bigger than your, which Swatch probably does it. You don't know it because you don't see them. Some people have, but that's for another story.
Yep.
So the next question here would be, most entrepreneurs, as you struggle with financing their idea, you had this big idea, you were in debt, and as you said earlier, and you needed a way out. So what were your goals in financing your venture? And what would you tell new business owners if they're in that same, or they can be in any predicament that they want to create they have their idea and they want to create an environment that they can promote their idea?
So the biggest thing that I can tell any entrepreneur that's ever going to want to start a business, right, is you want to do it the smart and the right way. There's a wrong way, and the wrong way is going to get a whole bunch of loans and a whole bunch of debt right off the bat because you don't know if you have a working product, you don't know if you have a working idea, you don't know if you have a working just business. And if you go out and you get a whole bunch of debt and all of a sudden you can't make your sales and you're not able to pay those bills, now you're going to be far and upside down. So the best thing that I can tell you, and this is what I did with Squatch Juice, is I started out very small and you want to grow organically and you want to do it in steps. And so I took $1,000 out of my pocket. I bought 50 units just to try it and see what it was going to be like. It went really well. I sold out in 2 hours. Let's go and let's double that. Let's do 100 units for $2,000.
And those started out as tubs,
Correct.
and you've moved on to pouches.
Sticks and
Sticks.
pouches.
Yeah.
So find the way that's going to cost you the least amount of money. Do not go get a loan. Do not go get a line of credit until you are absolutely sure that you've got cash flow problems because you have product moving so fast that you can't keep up with the production of the product. And so you're going to have to front load it. That way you're staying right there with the demand of the product, right? Do it the easiest way. Be very cognitive of that and just get really creative. So when we first started, I literally would buy the tubs. I think they're 22 cents a tub. And then I would go and get stickers. I didn't do labeling. Labeling's way more expensive and you have the minimum order quantity, so your MOQ. And I just literally would put stickers on the tubs myself. I didn't pay anybody to do it. I did pretty much everything. And I still do a lot of stuff by myself. I have a team now, and they're starting to take over some of the responsibilities. But you are always going to be that one person that's the driving force as the CEO, founder, president of the company, whatever it may be. But when you're trying to fund your business, do it smart and do it very cognitively and get really creative. So a lot of you, I had to go get like a 5 gallon water tub, and I had shaker bottles. I went to Walmart, and paid $4 for it, slapped a sticker on it, Squatch Juice. Had four of them out there for all four of my different flavors. Hey, what flavor would you like? I would again put the water in the shaker, put the stick in the shaker, shake it up, and give them out little samples in little 2 ounce cups. It was like $40, $45, right? Now we've obviously grown from that, which has been amazing. And now we have those big machines and we have the commercial blending and mixing machines, which cost thousands of dollars. But you don't want to go do that right off the bat. You want to grow incrementally.
So what you're saying is, without any venture capitalists, without going in debt, you basically rolling your financial
Correct.
well-being back into your business. So at
Correct.
this point, you're probably wearing the same clothes that you wore 3 years ago because you're not taking any salary or taking
Correct.
very little in salary.
I'm not taking any salary. We're going on 3.5 or 2.5 years, 3 years. This is our third year. I haven't taken any salary. We're just making ends meet with paying our bills that we need to pay. Now, as we grow, we are noticing and needing other equipments, or we need other programs, other softwares, whatever it may be, to help us get to more of a marketplace, to get to more customers. So our money goes into that. So I don't take any money. My team doesn't take any money, and we do everything that we can to put the money back into the business, because that's going to be essential if you can do that. Now, don't quit your day job for this until you are ready for it. And I will tell you, it was something that I was fighting for about a year, do I not? And you're going to know when that time is. Only you will know. I can't tell you that. Nobody can tell you that. But when you can actually step away from your full-time job and just know that you can cover your bills, and you're still seeing a huge growth, then that might be the time that you want to look at stepping away from your full-time job. But always have a full-time job to fund your dream until your dream can fund your life.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. All right. So you talked a little bit about it. As I said earlier, you're kind of growing nationwide now, and I know there's some international ventures that you've wanted to go down. But again, you'll know when it's time. The finances will be right, the conversations will be right, and you'll hit the go button. But at this point, where do you focus your marketing, and where did you get that wild hat?
So how we focus on marketing, I will tell you this, is we do shows. So we go to sportsman shows, outdoor shows. We do some other shows as well, but we know that if we can get in front of 20, 30, 40,000 people in a weekend, that's also going to help with our growth, right? They're going to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all that great stuff. And then what we do is we do a lot of videos. If you go to our Instagram and Facebook, you'll see we have some really cool videos that really help depict and help tell the story and why Squatch juice is the cleanest drink on the market and why you should be drinking the Squatch juice. And so we get a lot of views from that. People like it. They follow us. I have 3 podcasts I do. I will tell you right now that the podcasts are growing exponentially. Those are now reaching worldwide markets and audiences, where we actually had a very successful boxer just reach out to me yesterday, and he's in the UK. He wants us to go to UK. He wants to start working with us. We're going to actually start doing a lot of cool things together about anti-bullying, and then talking about mental health, and we're going to be traveling the world on this. So he's invited us down to the Cayman Islands. We're going to go meet him and a lot of the other big name boxers. If you guys are thinking the names, those are who they are. We'll get to meet them. It's going to be pretty amazing. But we really focused on, just when you're going to look at marketing, I will tell you this from Facebook standpoint: do everything you can to learn about the business. Do everything that you can to understand how that marketing is going to work, how the meta and the ad spend works, your ROAS. Do everything you can to become the master before you start mastering it.
Very
Does that
good.
make sense?
It does.
And so we are now nationwide. We just shipped off our third product to UK. We had another one go to Canada. We've been now to Ireland, Kuwait. So we're worldwide now, which has been absolutely amazing to see Squatch in 2.5 years be able to cover the world. It's been awesome. And this hat, I will tell you right now, I got this hat from my cousin who owns his own business, and it's called Handcrafted, and he does some amazing work. Now I told him, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, I found some really cool hats. Can we try these out? I just think this one's super psychedelic, and I think that it just screams different." And that's one thing when you're talking about marketing, right? You want something that's going to stand out. You want something that's going to be able to say, "I saw that. Where did I see that?" Because it takes 7 to 8 touches for someone to really feel you, hear you, smell you, taste you, whatever it is, 7 times before they understand I should buy that product. Now, when they see this hat and they see my logo, Squatch Juice, Sasquatch, name it, whatever it is, Sasquatch drink, and all of this stuff, right off the bat, there's already 7 to 8 touches. And then they try the product and they're like, it's a no-brainer. So I got this hat off of a website that he ordered. He made this the amazing patch. He does such a great quality work. I love it. So I won't go anywhere else for my leather work except for Tan and Crafted.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So last couple of questions here, and we're going to set everyone off to your webpage for Squatch Juice. And that is, customers are looking, they look for energy drinks. They go to the gym, need to, instead of coffee, some of them can't do a lot of caffeine. They can do some, but not a lot, or they don't want sugar. In the world of diabetes today, we've already talked about something bigger than yourself, being creative, and you've done that. And so, in a world that's saturated in energy drinks with focus and hydration, what sets your drink apart from those other name brands that we will not discuss?
What sets us apart is a couple of different things, right? Is we want to focus on the natural nutrients and like vitamins our bodies need, our body and our mind. And I wanted to create something that was going to really be your mind first, body second. And when you can actually get your mind in the right place, you can really do anything you want. It is a true concept. I've learned that now over the last few years. If you really want to scope your future, if you really want to have control of your destiny, it all starts up here. And so I formulated it that way. We've tweaked and twisted the formula to be the healthiest drink on the market now. Third party tested, verified, have a PDF, all of these resources and all of these locations that are great sources that provide legit scientific proof that we are now the cleanest drink on the market. When I looked at it, I wanted to not just cater to people who wanted to work out, right? That's great. I didn't want to just cater to people who wanted to do weight loss because there's stuff in there that other people can't drink. I wanted something that was going to be really broad, but yet effective. And I wanted something that diabetics can drink. I wanted something that people who suffer from anxiety can drink. People who are suffering from ADD or ADHD that have to be on Ritalin, they can drink this and don't have to take their medications, right? Now, it's a supplement drink. Is it going to be a cure all? No. Is it going to be something that's going to help you in your daily activities? Absolutely. But our bodies are completely different. My body's different than yours, and it's going to react differently. But I will tell you that when you put clean ingredients into your body, you are going to notice night and day difference. I promise. You're going to feel so much happier. You're going to feel so much more energy, natural source of energy, where you're not going to have a crash at the end of the day. I've had one Squatch Juice Energy and Focus this morning. It's already 5:30 doing this interview. I feel more alert and more awake than I've ever have had. I didn't have the crash at 2 or 3. I'm still going. And so with the hydration, there is no sugar. It looks just, it's clear. And we don't have any dyes. We don't have any synthetics. We use real fruit. And then we use the cleanest, like sodium, potassium, and magnesium, the citrate, and then the sea salt. But all of our ingredients we use, it has to be 97% pure. And if it's not, we send it back and we start over.
Sure.
So we really do put emphasis and a lot of attention into the quality, not the quantity. And that's what we really focus on. And so because of that, we are seeing people who are now telling us we don't need to be on Ritalin. I don't have to take my anti-anxiety medication. I've lost 32 pounds. I am more alert, especially if you suffered from a TBI or if you suffered from a concussion. Football players are huge, right? Fighters, boxers, they have some serious TBIs. And when they get hit in the head and they have that traumatic brain injury, and you don't do anything about it, it's just going to be just like if somebody punched you and you never worked on that muscle again, it's just going to go weak and it's just never going to get reused. So with the lion's mane, the theanine, and L-tyrosine that we put in there, it literally is reshaping and helping regrow brain cells and repairing those parts of the brain that has been damaged. And we're starting to see a lot more cognitivity, a lot of people actually being able to form better sentences, talk more smoothly, and actually feel a little bit less in the fog, if you will. And they come to us and they say, this works very, very well. And they're very pleased with it. So that's what separates us from everybody else. It's not because I want to make money. Money will come, but what comes first is the person and the people that we care about. Because if we can save one person from having to commit suicide, I know what it's like. We've all been affected by it. Everybody who's watching this, hearing this, you've all been affected by it one way or another. But if we can save at least one life, then we've done our job. But how great would it be if we can save even more?
Absolutely. So thanks, Brendan, for that and the deep dive. And where can we find your Squatch juice?
So go to squatchjuice.com. Very simple. Just Google us. First thing that pops up. You can find us on our Instagram page, which is Squatch Juice. We have a page and we have a community. Definitely join both. They're for two different reasons. And then our Facebook, right? We have a Squatch Juice Facebook page as well. And then TikTok. And we are in Threads. And then we're on YouTube. Go to our YouTube. We have quite a few different little segments and channels. Now, when we start this TV series in May, that's where we're going to be posting all of this and taking these veterans down to Texas. So definitely follow us on that so you can watch that and be a part of it, because it's going to be an amazing, just, it's going to be a rite of passage and it's going to be awesome. And then I think TikTok, I said Threads, I think everything, just we're on everything. So
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you, Brandon.
thanks, Shane.